Thank you so much for being here. Tonight is a very special reception. We are celebrating the Foundations Review Selected Student Works exhibition. It is currently on view in the Burke Art Gallery, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But I just want to, first of all, thank you all for being here and let you know a little bit about how tonight is going to go. My name's Jamie Platt. I'm the gallery director for the School of Art and Design here at Marshall University. And with me tonight is Hannah Koslowski. She is an assistant professor at the School of Art and Design. Hi, Hannah. And also the Foundations coordinator. And so we're very fortunate to have Hannah with us tonight. First of all, I'm going to make just a few announcements, and we have a lot to do today. And then Hannah is going to tell us all a little bit about the Foundation's experience. And after that, we have a video presentation where you are going to get to see the work of these young artists and also hear them talk a little bit about their work. So it's going to be a kind of a marathon, but it'll be really wonderful to see what they're doing and actually get a chance to hear from the artists what they think about their own work. So after that, we have a award ceremony. So Hannah and I will be announcing the award winners at the end of the video presentation. So announcements. First of all, as I said, I was going to tell you a little bit about that show that's in the Burke Art Gallery right now. It is on view through next week, Friday, the 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Now, if you would like to see that exhibition or bring your family to see the exhibition and you know for sure that you can't make it when the gallery is actually open, just email me or give me a call and I will be happy to make arrangements for you to get to see the show. Now, the chat has information, just a few resources, but you can find the email address that you can contact me at in the chat. Okay. And then, so that's the Burke Gallery. And then we have another exhibition on view right now. It is one of our senior capstone exhibitions. It's in the Charles W. and Norma C. Carroll Gallery. That's in the Visual Arts Center. And it is the third of four, actually 5 senior capstone exhibitions. And so it's open every day. Well, it's open tomorrow. If you want to see it, you got to come tomorrow. And if you're not student, faculty, or staff of the School of Art and Design, you will need to call and make an appointment. And the number for you to do that is in the chat. And we have another capstone exhibition opening next week, Monday. That'll be group 4. And they also are having a virtual reception. And if you would like to come and join us for that virtual reception, and I hope that you will, it is on Tuesday next week at 5:30. And if you have already registered for the capstone receptions, you don't have to worry about it. You're already signed up. But if you haven't yet, the link is in the chat. So you can find a lot of things there. Okay, and let's see what else. Oh, and then there will be one more capstone reception the week of the 27th. That is for one of our graduating seniors who is having an independent exhibition in Charleston. But if you come to the reception, you'll get a chance to see her work. That's Novid Hassan. And that is it for announcements. So next up, we will hear from Hannah Koslowski. And students, you all know her, but for anyone else, just let me tell you, Hannah is an assistant professor at the School of Art and Design, the coordinator of the Foundations program. every semester she pulls off this amazing foundations review process that culminates in this exhibition. And I don't know how she does it, but every semester it happens somehow. So we are fortunate to have Hannah here tonight. Thank you so much for all of your work, Han. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Hannah.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Can everyone hear me? We're good? Okay, so exciting to see so many people I know here today. And Jamie, thank you for the kind words. I just want to say none of this would be possible without all of the hard work put in by my colleagues, including yourself. In fact, I know that this virtual reception is about the students in Foundations Review, rightfully so, and I will get to that. But first, I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight if I didn't extend a really big thank you to Jamie for putting all of this together. I don't know how many of you know, but Jamie devoted her entire weekend to installing the work selected by faculty to be in the show. And this was also while she was recording artist talks by capstone students and putting together a video for them. So Jamie, thank you. It's a lot of work. And then the exhibition in the Burke is breathtaking. I was able to see it yesterday and was impressed by the sheer amount of work as well as the quality and variety. So really impressive show. Every student in Foundations Review this semester had at least one piece selected for the show. And so on display, if you're able to go to the Burke sometime over the next week or two and see it, you will encounter 2 videos, 7 art installations, 12 three-dimensional works, and then 52 two-dimensional works, including drawings, paintings, prints, photographs, and mixed media artworks. So it's a lot of great work. The 17 students who have work on display are Hayden Bays, Jillian Brown, Alyssa Carney, Nicholas Cavens, Kaylee Dillon, Silas Endicott, Beck Irvine, Jillian Gentry, Bailey Greaser, Caitlin Hall. I'm looking at a list, by the way. There's no way I could remember all this, and in alphabetical order. But Caitlin Hall, Adriana Hernandez, Willow Hess, Carrie Lykins, Alexa Peccarelli, Samantha Taylor, Lexi Wilhoit, and then Ethan Willis. And like I said, that was in alphabetical order. So there was no like hidden code to help you determine the award winners. We will find out soon enough who those award winners are. But congratulations to all 17 of you. And let me just say a couple words about the work on display. Some of you have your parents and your family joining today. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with this particular program, the Foundations curriculum is really an introduction to artistic practice for all art and design and art education majors. It's comprised of 10 workshops, and each of these workshops give BA and BFA students the opportunity to investigate, to kind of like dip their toes in, get their hands dirty with a wide range of media and techniques. Additionally, students are asked to communicate specific ideas through their visual solutions. And in that process of solving a creative problem, the faculty that who teach these classes, they also encourage our students to take risks, to engage in experimentation. Once students complete these 10 workshops, they then undergo their Foundations Review, which is what we're here to talk about today, what these 17 students have done. Several weeks ago, they mounted an exhibition of their work in the Visual Arts Center, and then also gave a presentation to the faculty about their work, about their trajectory through the program, about their growth. And now their selected works are on display in the Burke. So that's what this is about. It's a moment that they've worked really hard for and should feel really proud of. So for those of you here today, students in this class, I just want to stress that even if you don't receive an award, still be proud it's a big accomplishment to kind of go through this process and reflect on it, you know, to kind of take the time and the courage to look at your strengths and your weaknesses and to see how you've grown. So one last thing, but before I turn it back to Jamie, I would like to note that the award winners were selected based on the total number of votes they received for their foundation's work on display in the VAC, the Visual Arts Center. So, so that means that the winners are the students who had the highest number of votes from faculty in the School of Art and Design. And to my colleagues who are here this evening, you evaluated over 450 works of art over the last few weeks. So I also want to thank you for your involvement in this process. And I think that's it. So yeah, Jamie, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, great. So now it is time for our video presentation. So the way this is going to go, I'm going to share my screen, and then we're actually going to have to watch watch one video at a time. So if you're keeping track, that's 17 videos, one at a time. So, but I've got them in a little folder. I think it's going to be fine. It's going to be good. We'll go ahead and start. And it's going to be about a 30-minute presentation. Starting with Alexa Peccarelli.
So hello everybody, my name is Alexa Peccarelli. So I am a sophomore here at Marshall studying to receive my Bachelor in Fine Arts with an emphasis in graphic design and a minor in general business. This self-portrait is very geometrically planned, as opposed to randomly composed. I used a diagonal line to create movement with the otherwise straightforward static view of the original image, and a vertical gap in the center to give balance to both sides. This installation was inspired by my difficulty to explain to others what goes on inside my head. For many years now, I've dealt with anxiety, but I've never been able to put into words what it physically feels like. The intent of this installation is ultimately to experience the overstimulation which occurs during my anxiety attacks. From multiple fluorescent lights inches from your face to black and white illusionistic repetitive line pattern and the neon orange string bouncing around your head, I wanted this piece of art to be an experience, but only from the inside. I chose to keep the outside of this piece completely plain, because when my anxiety hits, everyone still sees me normally from the outside until you step into my shoes. The intent of this photo is to play with the viewer's idea of perspective. Although maybe not apparent at first glance, the image is actually upside down. I believe this slight modification to the final image allows the viewer to be fully captivated by this abnormally. This series depicts the 7 roommates I lived in one dorm with at the time. I wanted to capture how different each of our personal spaces were, even in such close proximity to one another. To allow unity through the images, I used black and white images to allow more emphasis on the subject and specifically the unique lighting in which each roommate had in their space. This past month has been a glitch. Each day starts where the previous had ended, daydreaming of the moments I was once able to experience. My thoughts take me back to times like warm sunsets with friends, filled with smiles which are beginning to fade from my memory. It is so hard for me to understand how some people crave this isolation, while I dream of escaping these walls. Gradually, I start to feel the separation, the disassociation from the life I had created. As an attempt to lure the outside world in, I mimic the details still connected to memories I long to experience once more. But for now, that is all I can do. So I sit here, in the glitch, daydreaming. This video project was my first assignment after the 2-week quarantine break. The experience of isolation was very new to me as an extrovert, and I wanted to express how difficult this time was for myself by creating an actual video loop of my new normal. This project was focused on word expression. By using common symbols and visuals for each word, the goal was to ultimately graphically evoke that word's meaning. I believe the most effective of these would have to be snap or fold. The clear communication at first glance perfectly represents what those words actually mean.
Okay, next up is Alyssa Carney.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Carney, and I'm currently working on my BA. I am majoring in visual arts and have a minor in marketing. Overall, my goal for this piece was to make the drawing appear disoriented in space, but I also wanted to give a calming feeling to match his expression, which is why I chose shades of blue. We were supposed to create rhythm based on a specific song. So I chose Still Don't Know My Name by Lavender. I chose these colors because not only does it match the mood, but it also relates to the album cover. We had several projects that played with perspective and meaning. We were supposed to make familiar things appear unfamiliar. So I did this by playing with perspective and creating angles. This piece is meant to represent students and their interaction with the bursar's office while in college. I chose to recreate the bursar's office because it is something that every student is affiliated with. So it builds a connection with a lot of viewers and makes it easily relatable even to people who aren't in college, because at the end of the day, we all have bills to pay. In Latin, bursar means holder of the purse, which is why I added the purse to the side of the box. And I added a wallet to the shadow box to represent the students as the holder of the money. The dark green shown throughout is meant to represent money, and it also adds a cohesive element to it. In the last project, we completed at home using only paper that was provided. I decided to do an armadillo because of its complexity, and I thought it would be interesting to capture its unique shape by only using paper. I ended up spending almost an entire 2 days on this because it kept failing structurally, so I ended up adding paper rods to hold it up to prevent the piece from buckling, which is shown in the far right picture.
Tragedia means tragedy. During COVID, I ironically used this plague doctor mask a lot, even though it's historically inaccurate. The mask is entirely paper. I wanted one half to be the plague mask and make it look like actual leather with the bolts, while the other half is all flora and abstracted leaves. The steel rod and wood block of the stand I also made. My armature was based on my great-grandfather's stapler who started our family business. The wood burnt logo, and I used acrylic paint after staining those wooden boards. The cacti are also concrete and nails made from a mold I made. Sin Maldad is Spanish for no evil. I based this image on the no evil monkeys within self-portraits. I really enjoy using pointillism. Repetition is something that's calming to me in my artwork, and overlapping the colors to get new variations in place of a normal skin tone was really interesting to experiment with. I wanted to finish my presentation with a project that gave me full reign of mixed media, but also challenged me conceptually. My chosen words for this were horror and sexual desire. I started researching and stumbled upon Aileen Wuornos. She's a known prostitute who shot 7 men at point-blank range across America. This was not intended to condone or justify her actions. I wanted to portray how women can sometimes be disregarded in situations like these. The portrait is posed to have the gun barrel to my head, linking to her crimes. The explosion is a collage of a map of the United States with feminine symbols like flowers and birds. The evidence tag there also has a medal number 7 for her victims. The words in my hair are also little snippets of her story. I mixed India ink with oxide spray for corroding effect. My bra is also done in glass beadwork. I wanted her to look off in the distance, so there's no direct depiction or ending of this work. It really encompasses my love of mixed media and women's rights that I found, and I actually ended up declaring my minor after this work in women's studies.
I'm going for a general Bachelor of Arts. My minor is currently undecided, although I'm looking at switching that to psychology. And I'm just going to get right into it. This one I actually had the chance to make a tiny version of before we left for the pandemic. And then I made a slightly larger version, and then I redid the entire thing so that it could be displayed in the BAC at a much larger scale. But I didn't want to make like a single piece out of the flat surfaces, because I felt that kind of contained it a little much, and I wanted to make something that felt almost like you could walk into the center of it and be a part of the piece. Because part of the thing that I really like with things like sight or space was that you can play with elements and kind of incorporate the viewer into them. And I thought that would be something really neat to kind of explore, in particular with having all of these pieces be able to be shifted on their own to create different senses of narrative. Working with the forms to create kind of visually dynamic compositions using the positive and negative space, and taking the shadows in order to kind of activate some of those spaces a little more and give it a little more contrast to make it a little more visually appealing.
These are the monotype sets from Matrix, where like stencils and lots of trial and error and painting over them. And that trial and error was so interesting to me that a lot of my monotypes reuse a lot of the forms, even to the point of like the stencil turning out very well compared to the like actual piece, which I don't think is bad, but I really enjoy the way the stencil turned out in comparison to the final piece.
Just to clarify, for those who might be unfamiliar with printmaking, this stencil is a utilitarian object and not intended to be an art object. Ethan actually used this to create other monotype prints, but over time, the stencil took on characteristics that made it interesting enough that it functions as an artwork on its own.
My name is Hayden. I'm a junior here at Marshall. I transferred from Mount West. I'm majoring in visual arts with emphasis in graphic design. This is a piece that I did for 215 Space. In the shadow box, I put a necklace that belongs to my fiance. He is a chef, and on the necklace are charms associated with cooking. There's a mixer, a chef's knife. And for the sculpture portion of this project, my mom sews, and she taught me how to do some simple things. And I made these vegetables. And that potato there is made out of pantyhose, and put eyeshadow to make the indentions and the dimples in the potato. And this is supposed to represent a cutting board. It's just wood, and I covered it with burlap just to match the materials. Hi, my name is Jillian Brown. I'm from a little place called Bath County, Virginia. It's in the middle of nowhere. Technically speaking, credit-wise, I am a senior, but however, this is only my second year here at Marshall. I am a BA student with a minor in management. This one is really focusing on the gradient of the super dark blacks at the top to the white at the bottom, and how to create an atmosphere from that. This started out as a drapery study and was supposed to be practiced for the final self-portrait, which was a self-portrait with the tributes. I actually ended up running out of time to redo the whole thing as a self-portrait, so I ended up extending it to include a half portrait of my face at the very end. The tribute in this would be my polar bear stuffed animal, which I've had since I was a baby. Hey everyone, I'm Jillian. I am a sophomore here at Marshall. I am majoring in visual arts, and I am emphasizing in graphic design. This is a piece called Double-Sided. This is mixed media for layer. This was not easy to do. I had to sit in front of a mirror and draw myself. It's to represent how I feel at home versus while I'm outside, and how I wanted to do that was through emotion, through my facial expressions, which I'm more comfortable at home versus actually being out and about. This was called Revenge. This was a mixed media piece for layer. This took some time. This was holographic stickers with spray paint, along with graphite on paper and newspaper articles. I wanted to do this piece as kind of course, a revenge piece, but I kind of wanted to have mystery to it and really make you think, what did she do or what did I do in order to have the background that it has. This is I Ignore Red Flags. The reason it's titled this is because I tend to actually ignore a lot of red flags in people, and I end up kind of getting myself hurt.
My name is Caitlin Hall, and I am a junior studying for my degree with my emphasis in graphic design. I kind of just felt empty, so I made a black and white portrait of myself. This project had to have two parts, so I did drawing and sculpture. So this is oven baked clay. I sculpted it at my dining room table and put it in the oven, and I filled the vase with hot glue, And I think Gorilla Glue, it's been a while, so I can't remember exactly, but it ended up drying and making like a shell on the inside of the base. So I thought that was kind of cool. This is a graphite piece I did for 217 mapping. It focused a lot on contrast and value, so we had to have really dark darks and really light lights. I worked forever on this piece, getting it just the way I wanted it, with the shadows in the background and the highlights on the base. This is an acrylic paint piece I did for 214 surface. This piece really focused on gradients. We had to use a gradient in every part of this piece. And I thought it came out really nice and visually interesting, very colorful, so I decided to include it. This is a piece I did at WVU. I wanted to include it because I'm really proud of it, honestly. We were working with a real client, and I was competing with my classmates, and the mayors of the towns in the center of West Virginia, like I think Summersville, that kind of area, they picked mine to use for their new trail that they're going to be putting up. So. This is a print, actually the first print I ever did. I'd never worked with this kind of medium before. And this was the second print I ever did. This is called Pasta and Princesses. It's a bowl of mac and cheese with Cinderella's castle sitting in it. Thank you for listening. I had a really good time in foundations. It was kind of stressful at times, but I really liked being able to work with new media and getting to try things that I hadn't tried before. So thank you.
My name is Carrie Lykins. I am a senior BFA student majoring in visual arts with an emphasis in photography. This is my Vanitas drawing for 217 record. I contributed the locket that is hanging from the vase, and so I wanted to draw it from that angle. I found the flow of the fabrics and the reflective glass to be appealing to me, and I used varying line weights and shading to create the folds in the texture of the fabric and to give the contrast to the individual pieces. This is a piece for 217 layer to show linear perspective. This next piece for 217 layer was, I used the term for nostalgia by using traveling and the nostalgia that you get from trips that you enjoyed. I added old postcards and postmarks. I took a part of a map and tea stained it to give it an old worn look. I spray painted the compasses on there from stencils that I made and added the directional signs. The drawing in the middle is a picture of my son based off of the photo down on the bottom right. This next series for 219 frame, I walked around the outside of my house looking for things to photograph with my Holga camera and noticed the shadows that were being created by the evening sun of myself and other objects. I like the contrast of the lights and the dark images as they were displayed on the ground and against the brick. This is a series of photographs for 219 frame, and I was looking for items that serve a purpose. Each photo was taken from the proper angle and height for the best possible lighting. The photo on the top left and the bottom are items that would be used in a pharmacy, and the top right, I focused in on the bottle because I liked the way that the light was showing the contour of the glass. These are two other photos from that series. I like the shadows and textures of the papers, and then the doorknob. I like the dark areas in the back and the bold light in the front. This is my second piece for the Trompe-l'oeil assignment, and it's the representation of a film canister. It's about 14 inches tall. The body of the canister here is painted with black acrylic paint. The pieces on the sides were made to look like Polaroids, and I wrote on the bottom as you would. The top lid has a light bulb on it to represent a flash on older cameras. And the film strip that wraps around the canister was painted loosely with glaze. This is a piece for my 215 form, and it's my interpretation of rocks and the words constrained. It's my representation of the word moss and vivacious. This is a planar composition for 215 space, and it began in the studio, but we went into quarantine shortly before we could even get construction started. So I created out of foam core instead, and made the template from cardboard, and then cut each individual piece out, made notches in it so that it would be pieced together easily, and then I painted it all before I put it together. This is a chalk drawing that was made for 218 site, and it's the representation of a line from the song Down Easter Alexa by Billy Joel. It's drawn in Ritter Park, is about 17 feet in length and 12 feet in height, and took approximately 3 hours. The bottom right photo shows the drawing in progress from a standing perspective, and to give you an idea of the proportions. The main photo was taken from above using a drone, and that's me sitting there in the yellow jacket. This is a piece for 218 site that I wanted the viewer to feel like they were actually in the museum themselves. It's made up of 2 walls and a floor using foam board, and I used found and purchased objects such as magnets, cookies, upholstery tacks, nails, yarn, buttons, and candy.
I am a sophomore. My degree is in Bachelor of Fine Arts. My emphasis is painting. For this project, we had to draw an idealized version of ourselves. I ended up drawing my sister because I think she's a slightly improved version of myself. And this is one of the first times I worked with ink, and I think it turned out pretty good considering. I think I did the shadows really good, and just the layout on the paper overall is good. This is another quarantine thing. Took up a lot of space in my room. I kind of wanted to make this one look like a deck of cards, or a card from a deck of cards, but each half of the card is a different type of card. One way is the ace of spades, and the other one's the jester or the joker. And my expressions of the drawings on each one kind of match with that. And with this one, we had to kind of associate it with a phrase or some words. And since it was quarantine, everyone's like, "Oh, this is fine," but it kind of wasn't at the time. And I kind of wanted to associate that with the ace being this is not quite so fine, and the jester being, "This is fine." This is a mixed media thing of a landscape of a black sand beach, and I used salt and pepper for this thing. I used pepper for the sand because it's darker and it gives it that grainy texture, and then the salt is on the ocean waves, like sea foam. And that is all I have. Thank you for listening. So I'm Lexi Lilhoit, and I'm a sophomore pursuing a degree in the Bachelor of Fine Arts, majoring in visual arts with an emphasis in graphic design. So my first piece is a project, a magazine spread, and it's about women's skateboarding because there's always been a stigma around men in skateboarding. So I think having a magazine with women would really help try to put an end to that stigma. On the cover, I have a picture of Lizzie Armano with the dark bus behind her and names of other women that would be featured in the magazine. And then in the spread, I have the style of skateboarding, and all of the pictures are mine. This is a graphite on paper. It was in my bedroom. Also a linear perspective. I created this one to be a base for the next project we did, is the photogram series. This project was really interesting to me because I didn't know you could do this with photograms with light, like leave something on a paper and then it like shows up, so I thought it was really cool to do this one. And it was a cool process to learn as well. So this one I used plants and bubble wrap and plastic hair ties. This one I also really enjoyed doing because it has my special 23 necklace on it and ribbon and string. And then this one has the unicorn that I made in my ceramics project. So double feature. And then I also have a bracelet and like gems in it. The last set of images I have are my digital prints. And these are based on me, but in a different angle. As a swimmer, most people that I know just see me as an athlete, but these photos were taken at home when I was just by myself, like acting goofy and just having fun, I guess. And so I set the settings on it and used a tripod to take these. So I have this one, and it's a set of 4. I really enjoyed this. I've learned a lot in this process, and that is all. Thank you.
My name is Nicholas Cavens. I'm studying at Marshall to earn my BFA with an emphasis in painting. This first work, called Lavender Cowboy, was created as a response to the phenomenon surrounding Harold Hersey's 1923 comedic poem of the same name. The titular character is an effeminate cowboy who, desperately seeking the town's approval, unsuccessfully attempts to clear out a bandit's hideout, and he dies in a cloud of gun smoke. Over time, the poem has been set to music and its themes expanded. Patty Roberts' 1968 version sees the cowpoke robbing a bar for strawberry gin, tracked by the scent of his Chanel perfume and being executed by the sheriff's posse. This story and all of its variations are centered around his death, and it presents it as a joke. The joke being that somehow in death he finds peace from his affliction, from femininity. Much of my work deals with my identity as a queer Appalachian, and thematically this piece was created to assert my love and belonging to Appalachia and its traditions. As a painter, I am fascinated with transcendence and transformation, particularly that of mundane materials like pigment and binders on pine wood and cotton becoming a treasured thing. Made in 2015, this is a ceramic lantern built to resemble a hybrid between a plant bulb and a skull. Its interior has been loosely gilded to reflect the glow of candlelight. This is meant to deal with concepts of personal reinvention and of growth through trial, the head being a seed at the center of reflection and evolution, its light reflected by precious metals. This is a watercolor portrait. This is my first attempt at painting a human in watercolor, and it became my focus to capture the luminosity of skin and to create the subtle tonal shifts required in successful portraiture. It was inspired by Victorian photographs and also the myth of Narcissus.
Are your bared threads fragile like a spider silk folding in the wind? Where do you go when you feel yourself begin to slip? Can you find that rock within? Do you fall into the fleecy familiar, or do you shed your skin and start again? Do you cry out into the dark, praising? When I was a child, I prayed to God that I would not wake up. Who would I be if you hadn't taught me how to love? I'm turning in my bed and asking myself these questions. I look into the dark and I burn deeply with shame. During these hours, my immaturity reflects back the mirror's edge. Guilt is here too. How quickly, how greedily I took your words and your kindness, using them to form some hollow redemption narrative. Where was I? What small inconvenience had captured my attention? How did we not see? In the end, you're still gone, and I'm still here thinking about myself. How do I preserve myself? Grief is a funny thing, and a transformative thing. It turns every vapid, sad sap artist into a poet, and every lingering breath into a prayer for forgiveness. This is for you, and I am sorry.
My name is Samantha Taylor, and I am a junior working on obtaining my Bachelor's of Fine Arts. I am majoring in visual arts, and my emphasis is undecided. Creating photograms was a foreign experience for me, for sure. Producing these images allowed me to test how well I could transform the everyday objects around me. And my favorite thing to do was to walk around the VAC and find things that people will leave in corners, or that would be like a half bag of suckers on the ground that my teacher was like, yeah, you can have that. And I got to play around with it and see how I could incorporate it into my art. When creating art with clay, I was definitely intimidated. Using a pen and a pencil or paint was easy to me. It was my crutch. I definitely underestimated the way that glaze reacted in the kiln, and my biggest defeat came down to how I layered the glaze. I consider this a beautiful trial to the future pieces it has influenced, and I definitely do incorporate a lot more bigger clay pieces into the work that I do now, and I promise it looks a lot better than this one does. Printmaking is a relaxing process for me, and for this process, I wanted to create a relief for the anxiety that I was feeling. I often dream of being watched, so I like to incorporate eyes into my work, but soon the eyes became comforting. The more eyes I created, the more that would be seen. It was like I wasn't alone in a room anymore. Reflections was creating with nothing but self-gratitude and prosperity I wished upon myself. The symbols in this are ancient pagan symbols of health and safety. I wanted to put these as a seal around myself. I had just lost my closest friend and was discovering myself as being a true artist. I used to feel like someone who just created art and not someone who could call themselves an artist, because I never took it as serious as my other peers. But now I am sure of myself. I fell in love with the different courses offered to me and grounded myself into a path that I wanted to take. The Foundations program is what guided me in this direction I needed, while exposing me to new territory that I've never gotten to reach. This has let me release a creative identity I was never allowing to hit the daylight before, and for that I say thank you to the faculty that has taken the many hours to teach and guide me. My family used to have birthday parties at this park, and I wanted to use chiaroscuro to focus on certain objects that had importance to me. I chose these specific figures for this piece because of all the small details and shapes that they have, and it allowed for more dynamic negative space and to create more volume and mass for the figures. I layered paper to create depth and volume, and I cut through it to create a depth in the face of this piece. The stars are used to create space, and the colors to create emphasis on both the stars and the moon, as the colors make the stars stand out, but they also make the moon stand out as it's a plain white color.
This is based off of a story that my dad told me, and I wanted to use some of the smaller details of the story in the piece to sort of show like the very strangeness of his story. I used the necklace on the sculpture to link it back to the mask necklace that he brought back from Mardi Gras.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Willa Hess, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm a junior, and I'm getting a BFA degree, and my major in BFA would be visual arts, and the emphasis would be on graphic design. This one was done with colored pencil. This is my adaptation of Cinderella.
Hi, I'm Adriana Hernandez. I'm a senior right now, and the degree I'm going for is Bachelor's of Art Education. This one was actually my first abstraction piece ever created. I try to keep complementary colors next to each other, so that way each color can stand out in their own individual way. And this is also a blind contour project, first time ever doing it, and I had lots of fun. But for this one, I combined two different objects. One was a rose and the other was a seashell. I wanted to incorporate the environment together in some sort of way. So it's a seashell made out of, or it's a rose made out of seashells. And the little beads inside the rose is supposed to represent fish eggs. So it's like an underwater tree for a fish to live in. I decided to go with the pastel colors because I wanted to stand out more. I just wanted to thank everyone for teaching me in this foundations program. It was a big struggle, but I can't lie and say I didn't learn anything. It's taught me a valuable lesson, and I hope to teach it to my future students someday.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. And so in just a moment, we are going to start the awards. First of all, though, I just want to say thank you and congratulations to all of the students. One of the things that really stood out for me was how well that each of you articulated not just what your ideas were, but why you were doing what you were doing. And I think that that's a testament to you and how hard that you've worked, and also to your faculty. And so I'm also really impressed with your craft, and it was fun putting your show together, and I hope that each of you get a chance to go and see it soon. So Hannah, should we do it?
We should. It's exciting.
Yes. Okay. Now, before we start the awards, I just want to say to everybody that if you win an award tonight, don't leave. I know it's going to be exciting, but don't turn off your computer and run around yet. We have an announcement for you, so just hang around if you win an award. I just want to tell you some things. And then, yeah, so for everybody else, we'll just go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's see. So Hannah, we have 5 award places, and we will start. We'll go last place first. Last place, 5th place, right?
Yep. Okay. I'll go ahead and make that first little announcement. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, so we have a 3-way tie for 5th place. I don't think this has ever happened before, but 3 students received the same number of faculty votes. So the first, yes, that's right. The first student to receive 5th place is Silas Endicott. Yay. The second student to receive 5th place is Caitlin Hall. I love this right here. And then the third student to receive 5th place is Samantha Taylor. So congratulations to the 3 of you. Yay. You all received 17 faculty votes for the work that was on display in the VAC. So congratulations on 5th place.
Congratulations. Okay, so next up we have in 4th place, Bailey Gruser, and Bailey's work received a total of 20 votes from faculty. Congratulations, Bailey. Okay.
Congratulations. All right, and then 3rd place. 3rd place goes to, 3rd place goes to Alexa Peccarelli, who received 22 votes for her work in the VAC. Congratulations, Lex.
Congratulations. Okay, and in 2nd place, oh, 2nd place.
That's right.
Is Nicholas Cavens. And Nick received a total of 25 votes from faculty. Congratulations, Nick.
Congratulations. Jamie, I think you and I are having more fun with these than anyone else.
Everyone needs them.
Seriously, they make life better. Okay, sorry. That brings us to 1st place. 1st place. The 1st place award goes to, give me all of mine. Here we go. Goes to Carrie Lykins, who received 34 votes, a whopping 34 votes from faculty. So congratulations, Carrie, much deserved.
Congratulations, Carrie. Congratulations, everyone. So, so that concludes our awards ceremony. And before you all leave, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot. And I want to just say something to the winners. So you hang on for just a second, and everyone else, you're welcome to stay. It's not secret. But if you want to go, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have a wonderful night.
Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you, Frederick. Okay. So students that won awards, you're going to have a little work to do. You're each getting cash prize, which is wonderful, right? But you have to do some paperwork. So Mary Waller is going to send you an email. So you need to check your email over the next couple of days so that you can get everything done so you can get your award. Right, Hannah? Okay.
Yes, and also you'll be able to find out how much your award is.
Yes.
Which is a good number, so yay.
Oh, I forgot to check the chat. And Frederick, Frederick came in on his own. Good. Okay. Sorry, Frederick. That was nice. Matt Smith said all the rattles.
And Shen said, have a nice night. Yeah.
That's nice.
Great.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, students. I'll be in touch about our next class. All right, bye, everyone.
See you next. Bye.